Hi there, it's me again. Welcome to my channel and in fact this video. I hope that this new information is useful to you. Hopefully the previous video wasn't too confusing. It certainly was in the editing phase, so that might add to the confusion because I was. Today's thing is a tryout at something that I'd like to try, which is doing a makeup look to try and see whether that makes me feel more comfortable than staring into a camera, because it's a bit like staring into someone's eyes. While I'm getting used to that again, I thought special interest. If you're here for the knowing about the assessment process but don't want to see me put makeup on my face, that's fine. If you can, either cover the phone with like the front of your case if that won't shut it off, or if you're on the desktop just have a separate tab if you still want to listen to me. The only thing I'll say about makeup stuff is I've already put the Garnier Rose Soothing 48 Hour Moisturiser on. I'm trying that out and the glasses are coming off. This is based off of Sylvie Vartan's makeup. Inspired, not based. I'm not that good. Basically, I said in the previous one about a place called Lifeworks, which we actually heard from by someone who walks their dogs around here, because my mum talks to this person a lot and her son is autistic, and she highly recommended going to Lifeworks to then kind of put you on to another place, which in my case was Hopland. My mum emailed or phoned, I can't remember, Lifeworks, and there was an appointment that was made for us to see them at their HQ in May, was it? May 2018. I was 17 at the time. I had that short haircut that I had and was wearing clothes that really didn't make me feel very comfortable, but I was wearing them anyway because I was going through that phase. When we were driving there, I don't think I said much, either that or I was saying too much. It was one of those things. I was shaking. I guess like with other things I was afraid that I was going to get a no, but at least like it wasn't, I carried on saying at least it's not a proper place to get a diagnosis from, so it's not the end of the world if I get a no. It's not like I've gone through everything and then all of a sudden nothing. We were let in, we went into a room because it wasn't really that busy. We were basically talking about why I was there, what makes me think that I'm autistic, all those kind of things. Then there was this short questionnaire. She did say that I could have been put on the list, but I technically would have still been a child then, and since I was almost an adult, then it would have taken a lot longer. So they said wait until you're 18 and then we can kind of get in touch with the people and then see what happens from there. I turned 18, we got in touch, well, Mum got in touch. The doctor sent a questionnaire and we filled it in, and I do have it. Basically it's a short questionnaire about social interaction that you have to fill in, which is making and maintaining friendships, interpreting others' emotions, responding appropriately, managing different social occasions, humour, banter, etc. For example, one of mine was in preschool she wouldn't always respond to adults or children in group sessions or settings, but would respond to adult in one-to-one, which is sort of still the thing. Finds it hard to understand and recognise humour and often needs jokes explained, and crowded social situations being challenging, etc, etc, etc. Second is restricted and repetitive behaviours and interests, intense interests, routines, rituals, stereotyped movements, attention to detail, black and white thinking, which for me was planned activity, not reacting to change very well, so if we were going to go somewhere I'd get very upset about us not going somewhere. I have issues with the sounds of eating or just mouth sounds. I have I have like sensory, I have too much sensory input and too little sometimes, so I can't really sometimes understand that I'm thirsty or hungry or that I need the toilet, let's be real. Communication, non-verbal communication, managing reciprocal conversations, initiating conversations, social chit-chat, evidence of faux pas. Yeah. An example for me was in primary school. I wouldn't really have a filter, so I'd say stuff descriptively. I wouldn't say it to annoy or tease, but I'd just say descriptive things, like I said that a friend of mine had a nose like a pig's, because it kind of did that when she laughed, and that didn't go down well. But that, for an example, is on that bit of the questionnaire. We went back to the doctors, handed it into reception, waited, because then they passed it on to Heartlands. Then we waited for a bit, and then we heard back from Heartlands, and they sent a 4-part questionnaire. One of them isn't really a questionnaire to do with autism, it's more so a questionnaire to do with just general health stuff. So yeah, although I count one of them as an extra questionnaire because it's about key features that you struggle with, and I ticked all of them. So there's that. There's AQ test, which is general, I'm reading something, general communication, imagination and habits, and out of 50 I scored 42, and those are just questions like, bear with, I notice patterns and things all the time, it doesn't upset me if my daily routine is disturbed. Just to let you be aware, you don't have to be anxious about filling in these. They're basically based off of the stereotype, but I scored 42 out of 50, so you should be fine. Not that you have to score high, because you don't have to score high, obviously over a certain amount, but you don't have to worry. And the second one is the Cambridge Behaviour Scale, which is interests, behaviour and lifestyle, which has stuff to do with, I can sense if I'm intruding even if the other person doesn't tell me. People sometimes tell me I've gone too far with teasing, I don't like taking risks, etc, etc, etc. The one that I ticked all on was key features, which is finding social situations confusing, hard to make small talk, good at picking up details and facts, hard to work out what other people are feeling, can focus on certain things for very long periods of time. Often people say I was rude when it was unintentional. I have unusually strong narrow interests. I do certain things in a very inflexible, repetitive way. I have always had difficulty making friends. I tend to turn any conversation back onto myself or my own topic of interest. And then the last one, relatives questionnaire. The previous one I scored, for the Cambridge Behavioural Scale, I scored 19. 30 or less is an indicator of autism. The AQ test I scored 42 out of 50. 26 plus is an indicator of autism. Obviously I ticked 10 out of 10 with the other one. And the relatives questionnaire is a 37 item one. I scored 18, and 15 or above indicates autism. So that one, the relatives questionnaire, is just basically about your childhood and things. So my mum and dad remembered as best they could about certain things, but I guess, you know, when you're not looking out for stuff, you don't pick it up, so, you know, that's fine. One of the things with that they wrote down was about my special interest with play, because I'm very imaginative. So there's that. Then we sent those back. The assessment thing, the assessment. And my mum, dad and sister came to the assessment, because I wanted to have as much information as I could. I will give you tips on what I've learnt and what I should probably say I would have liked to have done but didn't because I was too anxious and in my own head and all that kind of thing. There were 2 assessors. It was I think it was like a 4-hour assessment. They were very nice. The assessors were very nice. And of course, you know, they understand, but you know, it's always an alien environment, so you always feel a little bit uncomfortable. And I was shaking a lot. So I had to lean back, even though I had this kind of, it's one of those chewy gem things that's in my handbag right now. This is my chewy gem thing. Ta-da! I had that in my bag and my sister carried on saying, you know, you should use it, you should take it out of your bag, but I didn't. Like I say, I was shaking. It's one of those kind of things where you kind of sat there and you're like, all the time, so you know, don't want to draw attention to that because you're already quite vulnerable, so I probably should have used the chewy gem thing. They'd understand. You'd hope they'd understand. So the lesson, you should use it. We do just general talking mixed with questions, so they kind of they bring stuff up, make notes, and then if you've already spoken about it, then you know, you can go back on notes, and since there's 2 of them, then they both get different sorts of notes, so that's why it's important that you have 2. I carried on getting distracted and doing detailed branches off to other things, because they were related, and that's just something that I do. Like, there was a break in the middle, and that's when it kind of hit me, and I felt really kind of guilty, so I started to put on the face that I'd grown used to putting on, which I'm still dealing with. After about 4 or so hours, we left. All the way home I was quite quiet. Then I had a meltdown on the way when we came back home, and then I kind of begun to write my 6-page essay, because she said that one of the assessors, she said that I could do that if there was anything that I'd missed, so I sent her a 6-page essay. Then we waited and waited and waited. Not really. At the time I was doing a theatre director's course, which really helped because it helped to break the barrier that I was still under after kind of leaving school. It really helped me to kind of gain some confidence, but because I was going through this, I've kind of acted a bit strange, but you know. My assessment was on the 20th of February. My diagnosis came on the 26th of March. As I said in the previous video, everything seemed to be going right, and it was the kind of theatre thing that also contributed to that, because all of a sudden I was on this course and wow, I was making friendships. But yeah, I didn't want to go to the assessment because, like I said in the previous one also, I was afraid that I would be told no and what are you doing here and all that kind of thing. On the car ride, I was very quiet. My mum carried on trying to break jokes to make me feel better, and I just said nothing. I just kind of stared into the countryside as we passed it, because it was a really pretty day, and it was like trying to savour up all the good moments until the bad bit hit, you know. Before we parked, there was this guy who lent us his space, or like gave us his space because he was about to leave. I was like, that is rubbing it in. So we sat in the car, listened to some music because we were early. Then we walked around and the sun was shining and the robins were singing. It was one of those moments where you just kind of feel awful, but at the same time you just feel so much peace. You just kind of feel it. You can't really make sense of everything, or at least I can't, because trying to read thyself is difficult. Feeling the peace of God, and like, the best way I can describe it is just feeling like you're engulfed in a smile, or in this kind of cloud of a hug, because it's like it's going to be fine, you're going to be okay, even though you're really anxious about it. We go into the room where I'm getting assessed, and she takes a moment before she tells me, and my mum is kind of getting impatient because she knows that the lady's going to say, you know, well, of course you're autistic. And I'm just sat there being like, she's going to suddenly be like, I'm sorry now. So that was a nice surprise. And I just kind of sat there when she said, so of course you are autistic. Of course there's no doubt that you are on the spectrum. And I just kind of sat there because I was expecting to just kind of, you know, have this emotional moment where I'm just like, okay, and shut off. So I was just kind of sat there because I do this really weird thing where I have my hands like this and I kind of push them down, and I'm just kind of sat there like that, which is really odd, but it's what I did, it's what I do. And my mum burst into tears, and I didn't know how to react apart from do that really weird thing. There were a couple of things that weren't quite got, which is I really like the smell of tinsel, and I really like the smell of candles and tinsel. It's a certain thing that we have in our Christmas box, so that's a thing which was accidentally put down as not liking the smell of tinsel. I don't like the smell of, the feel of really soft mushy bananas. I can't eat it, I can't feel it, I can't anything near it. I also have a high pain threshold, which probably has something to do with my lack of some sensory input. Eye contact, non-verbal expressions, basically just going through stuff that we spoke about. My current special interests are France and all aspects of the 60s, which fits in with the character of a piece she's writing that she does in stages. Yes, imagination, which is filled to the brim. Diagnostic opinion, based on clinical assessment in the context of her developmental history and current presentation. It is our opinion that Emily does meet the formal diagnostic criteria for an autistic spectrum disorder, more specifically disorder DSM-IV. However, it is important to note, although there is nothing unremarkable in the school reports throughout her early years, this can be typical of females who struggle as they reach teenage. She was a good pupil, academically adept with no behavioural issues, and conformed to the routine of the classroom, which masked the internal difficulties and anxieties that Emily was experiencing, etc. Also, I've been diagnosed with social anxiety through this, so that's grand. On the drive home, I was kind of in a state of blissful denial, I wrote, and then when we got home I was bouncing off the walls until like a couple of days later something was said and kind of changed my mindset, and all of a sudden I kind of fell down and never quite got back up again. Time for the tips, I guess. My tips for an autistic assessment is take notes, please, because we didn't. Because even though you've already done the questionnaires and stuff, like, I tend to get lost because there's so much going in my brain, so I kind of got a little bit lost. So notes of things that you would particularly like to talk about, or that they're likely to talk about, that you put down in your questionnaire, or anything extra that you couldn't put down in your questionnaire, I would highly recommend you do that. I would also highly recommend that you would take people along, because that was very useful, because then, you know, if you can, obviously if you can, because not everyone has people who can go. If you can, please do. Especially if you find it difficult in social stuff, like I do, then you have people to fill in gaps and to kind of, because I'm not very good at phrasing stuff, so it was good to have people there who could kind of make sense of things that perhaps I didn't explain in the best way. If you feel like you need to use anything like to stim, also please do, because it's something that you need and it's something that kind of helps you not to panic, and it also kind of backs up your case. Not that that's the reason why I'd say do it, but you know, sorry if this is like an utter catastrophe. But the more I do this, the more I can kind of get to grips with it. Also, try not to panic too much, like don't have such a big, I guess this is something that I'd say to myself, is even though you feel like everything's gonna fall down, don't go in there expecting to not get it, because I guess that adds to the masking. Try not to worry. I know that's easier said than actually done, but also try and have something planned for afterwards, after like both the diagnosis, whether you get it or not, and the assessment. Try and like plan something, you know, something that you enjoy or something that will kind of help you to be calm, because you would have been very, very vulnerable. You would have kind of said a lot, gone through a lot, and your brain's going to be tired, so please give yourself a break if you can, obviously. I guess now it's like, what do I feel a year later? What I hope I feel is coming to grips with it now that it's been a while. I think that doing this helps, and I guess to help other people. So once again, if you have any queries, please don't hesitate to ask for advice or talk about things. How do I feel at this point? I feel like it's getting better. I think it helped telling my grandparents and hearing their reaction to it, because at first they were a little bit surprised, but then after a bit, because at first my granddad kind of, I thought that he took it alright, but then I overheard later that it was a bit of a shock, which understandable. See you in a second. I hope that you found this video helpful. Hopefully you have. Why don't you tell me about your day or your story or something? C'est bizarre. Oh yeah, while I'm doing this, let me introduce you to my new babies. Well, technically they're my old babies, but you know, they used to be in the living room, and now they're in this, they're on my windowsill, which I'm very happy about. I've got the mama, who's called Ingrid. I've got Ingrid Pastel, who was the first baby. I've got Francine, who's the most recent one that we've separated. George, Henry kind of got dried out, and Ingrid Minnie, who was the second one and has grown massive. I nickname her the Mini Beast. She's grown very much. She used to be smaller than Ingrid Pastel. So thank you for watching. I hope you find it useful. What was the thing I just said before I realised that this was no longer on? I don't really care about the bottom of it, because we're going for a 68-69 look, and 68 is like my favourite. So yeah, do you like succulents? Leave it in the comment below. Do you like it? This is the final look. Hope you like it. I kind of enjoy it. So yeah, see you in the next one. Bye.